Hello, this is Jessica Ellison, and this is my usability testing and reflection for my online course, which is the Blended Learning Academy. So, in this presentation, I am showing some information that I got from one of my stakeholders, which would be a person that I would hope to see take this course one day. So, this is one of my co teachers, and she is interested in doing blended learning, and she has been since I've started this program and kind of sharing with her what I've been learning along the way. And so, she would be a potential future participant in this course. And so I asked her if she would provide some feedback by going through the first couple of modules for this online course, just to kind of see how it works, the usability of it, if there were any areas of confusion, or any areas that needed some more explanation, or maybe there was too much detail, needed to be simplified. And so in this usability test, I provided her with a document because she was not able to record her working through it, but I was able to collect her thoughts on a document, which I will show in just a moment. So that is the who of this. And then the impact of this platform is this was Google Classroom, and this is a very familiar tool for our campus and the people who are on our campus. We use this for our teachers, for our students, and it is a learning management system that we are all very, very familiar with. And it is one that sometimes does come with some limitations as far as some of the things that it can do as compared to others like Blackboard and Canvas. But this is the one that my users would be the most familiar with. And I felt like that would be a good place to start instead of trying to not only teach something new, but also teaching a new system that they would not have access to really use anyway. So this way they can see the modeling happening in the LMS that they would also be using as well. The process of this is the lessons I learned and the changes that were made. So the feedback that I received from my co-teacher, Ms. Gilliland, was very, very insightful and provided many points that I honestly had not thought of. And so on the right here, you can see that there was a Google document that I sent to her and gave her a couple of tasks to start with. And I told her to begin at the homepage, the stream where there was an announcement that told her basically where to start. And that announcement then the led her into the classwork tab. And so you can kind of see her thinking as she went through. She said she started with slide one, and on the Start Here page, and I have my ePortfolio link there. So she was able to look and see kind of the research that's behind blended learning that I've been collecting over the past several months. And she also gave some pointers and perspectives as to like things lining up and making sure like the wording on different things worked. And something that she also pointed out was, for my Start Here slides, like having the titles being very descriptive, which just makes them just a little more clear as to what's going on each of those slides. So that was a change that I did go in and make. I was able to go in and change the title on each of those slides, and she was able to see it a little bit more clearly. And so when I go to the classroom and go to the Start Here, so some of those changes that were reflected based on her feedback is the titles are changed. She had also mentioned, just for clarity, moving some things around, like this quote was on a different slide and just mentioned how it kind of seemed out of place. So I moved it to the blended learning video to kind of give some context to that. She also went through and mentioned on each slide, making sure that if I use something like a Bitmoji, like maybe making sure it had a purpose. And so I went ahead and changed that as well. So each of those, now the illustrations kind of match with what's going on the slide. So it's showing that I'm giving the instructions of this is what you are doing. And then on the online module slide, she suggested adding a screenshot so people could see what it looks like and making sure they're in the right spot. And I really liked that idea. So I went ahead and added that in as well. And so this part of this was very helpful. These were things that I really had not thought of at the beginning of this. I know things when they're in your brain, you kind of have a clear picture of what it is, but it was very nice to have another set of eyes looking at this and seeing it from an outsider's perspective of someone who had not seen anything that I had been working on up to this point. And so she was able to really give me some really good feedback that way. And that was the first task. The second task, I had her work on the navigation of Module 1 and what she has to do there. And so I had her start on Module 1 and watching the introduction video. And something she did point out is for the reading material, talking about how it mentions at our first session. And this was something that I feel like if we were really doing this live, would be a little more clear, because at the beginning of this course, there will be an email sent out saying that we will be meeting face to face. Here are the dates and things of that nature. But since it's not already in happening, then I don't have those dates at the time. So I believe that will be cleared up whenever that happens. And then she mentioned how maybe some of the instructions aren't super clear. There's kind of some vagueness with some of the instructions, and she wasn't sure exactly what was going to be happening, like with the reading. So I put on there, okay, we're going to be reading this book. We're going to refer back to it. But there was nothing that talked about a quiz or discussion post, but she did notice how it did go into Module 3. And so in Module 1, it mentions the book here. And now I've gone in and said we'll be discussing this at our face-to-face meetings. And also there will be a discussion board in Module 3 that will give you context that you will need as you move through this course. And so it's just to provide a little more context as to what they're going to be doing with this reading of this book. And when we have the face-to-face meetings as well, there will be activities that will go along with what they were supposed to read in that module before they attended the meetings. And then for the discussion post, this was very helpful because on the other side of this, the teacher side of the discussion post, I have personally not had experience with this before. And so I wasn't really sure what it looked like on the student side. And so she was able to kind of provide me with some clarity as to what it looked like, and mentioned how needing to explain for others to see their classmates' posts or answers, they actually have to click on classmate answers to see those things. And that's something that I couldn't see on my end. So it was very helpful to have someone on the student side going in and seeing that and making sure that I put those instructions into the discussion post. So whenever people do get on this course and it's live, they're able to find those instructions easily and they don't have to kind of hunt around like she did. And then also she mentioned maybe having a clear focus on these. And so that's something I considered when I went back in, and I did go in and kind of adjust for a little bit more focus, giving some more focus on the questions and going to or replying to the people who are posting on the discussion board. Another part is I also had her talk about the navigation and just if she's where she started, how she knew where to go. And so she mentioned being able to read the announcement on the stream, follow the instructions, the classwork tab, and started with Start Here. She knew where to go and what to fill out based on the instructions from the class information and Start Here page. So she started with the beginning of course feedback form. And so she said she knew exactly what to do in Module 1 because there was a checklist in the video. So at the beginning of each of these modules, there is a 2 to 3 minute video that will give them the course outcome and goal. And then it will kind of show them, guide them through the video. And then at the end, there is right here, there is a checklist of what they're going to do. So they're watching the introduction video, completing the modules, watching the video, or completing the readings, watching the video, posting the discussion, replying to discussion posts, and then completing the activity. So each module has one of these that has a checklist, so they have clear instructions on what they are to do. And she mentioned how that was very helpful. So that was encouraging to see. She said there was a little brief confusion with the discussion post, but she also realized that it was coming from the classmates' answers. And also, since she's the only person enrolled in the class, she wouldn't really be able to see others as well. So, this is something that I would think about when I will probably test this again before I ever put it out, is maybe having more than one person come in and test this out and see what it looks like when there's multiple people posting in the discussion board and replying to each other to kind of get that part of it, filling that part out. And then for duration, she was able to kind of give me an idea of how long it took her. It said it took her about 20 minutes to do the introduction. She was not doing the reading, since the reading was a chapters 1 through 4 of a book. So I wasn't going to have her do that in respect of her time. But she said without the reading, she was able to finish it in about 15 and 20 minutes. And so this is very interesting and something I wanted to take into consideration, because I know teachers themselves are super busy, and I want to make sure that I am not overloading them with too much information and too much stuff that they have to put onto their plate, that they're already full plates. And so wanting to make sure that these modules are short enough, kind of like bite-sized pieces that they can easily digest before we go into our face-to-face meetings, but also giving them enough content that they're able to successfully complete the modules and learn something from it. And then the final section of her feedback is just general feedback, asking if there are any changes that need to be made. Is there anything that needs to be added or taken away? Was she able to locate the course objectives? So she didn't believe that anything else needed to be added. It's pretty straightforward, and each module is set up in the same way, so it makes it easy to know what's expected. And she also said she believes there's enough information in this course for someone to successfully complete it. And so by getting this feedback from her, it definitely made me a little more confident moving forward with this, because I felt like there was definitely some encouraging words coming from her as we were going through this. And so showing how each of the modules are set up one after the other, and you can kind of see that they're pretty similar, and so it should be easier. And then at the end, we also have our reference list with all of the references that a person would need if they needed to find these things online or somewhere else. So overall in this course, I feel like the feedback was very helpful in clearing up some areas that may have caused some confusion for the user. This would have been something I probably would have not have known ahead of time looking at it, because to me it made sense, but I can see now as someone that's on the outside looking in how there could have been a little bit of confusion going into it. So I feel like this process was really helpful, and I anticipate using a process like this in the future in any type of course design I would ever use, or any other thing that I'm going to send out to others, making sure that there's a fresh set of eyes looking back on these things. And I feel like this using Google Classroom for this will also be helpful for my organization, at least, because it's something that we understand, something we've used. The infrastructure is familiar. There's also a lot of people on campus who can help with issues and problems with Google Classroom, because it's something that's been very familiar to us as well. And so throughout this process, I really think that this is going to make this course successful. It's going to make it a really good tool that my organization can use. And I really look forward to using it as we move into our school year and getting blended learning established in a more broad way on my campus. And I really do look forward to it. So thank you for listening to my video over usability testing for my course. And it's something that's very insightful, and I will definitely be recommending this process to others as well.